Here's a quick walkthrough of EDL Importer for After Effects. This is a useful extension when you need to bring clips in from an EDL, relink them to their camera masters or source files, and maybe want additional info like locators or CDL data too. To do this before, you would need to run the EDL through Adobe Premiere and then import the Premiere project into After Effects. Now, you skip Premiere entirely and go straight into After Effects with additional features. So let's dive in. First, we need to load an EDL. We can either drag and drop it in the main window or click the button and choose it from the file system. Once it's loaded, you can see all the events listed below. Next, we need to choose where the source files live, which is where the extension begins searching. The more specific here you can be, the faster the search will likely happen because there will be less overall to search for. If we look at the settings, there's a couple options for what to match while searching. Either to match the source name or clip name from the EDL, options to match the file name with or without the extension, and if it should be case sensitive or not. With the EDL loaded and the location chosen to search, we can run the search. In our case, it found them all, but if you are still missing some, you can change the search location and search again. It'll just search for what's still missing and keep what you found from the first location. You can also reset found files and link them manually if you need to. Once everything is found, we're ready to build it, but let's take a look at the settings again first. On the second tab of settings, we have 3 different build modes. We can make a single sequence for an EDL with all the clips in a single comp. We can make individual comps for each of the clips in the EDL. Or we can do a combo of both and make individual comps for each clip, and then nest them into a single sequence for the EDL. Each build mode has its own subset of settings. So for a single sequence, you have resolution settings, pixel aspect ratio, and frame rate of that sequence comp. You also have an option to import markers or locators from the EDL. For individual comps, you have the option to add additional handles. If you want the comps to have some additional frames at the beginning and end of each clip, you set that here. You can choose the resolution settings based on the source footage, or you can choose to set a specific resolution, pixel aspect ratio, and frame rate for each of the comps. If you choose nested comps in a sequence, then you basically get a combination of all the settings that we just went over. Next, we have a section where you can override the start timecode of all the incoming source footage if you need to. I think most people will never have a use for this, but I've run into a few scenarios where you might need it. Sometimes an editor might be using a proxy or stock footage where the source time code was wiped out and starts at 0 or hour 1, but the source footage we're linking to might have a different time code. So in that scenario, we'd want to set the time code of our incoming footage to match so that all the ins and outs line up where they're supposed to in the sequence. This probably isn't that common, but it could be a possibility, so it's nice to have the option if we need it. Lastly, we have the option to import CDLs from the EDL. This requires a free plugin from Finord software in order to work, but if you don't have it, you'll get a link to where you can download it. If your EDL has those ASC slope, offset, and power values in it, you'll get those imported along with your footage. With everything set up now, we can send this EDL to After Effects and have it build for us. The time it takes to build will depend on the length of your EDL, but it shouldn't be too long, and you'll get a little summary at the end when it's complete. It'll list any errors it came across if it couldn't import any clips, or if there's any timing errors or the source of the footage doesn't line up with what the EDL is looking for. That's it for the walkthrough of EDL Importer. I hope it makes things a little bit easier for those of you that need to get EDLs into After Effects.